Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, and welcome to our
Warrior.
review of Ahsoka, Episode 5, Shadow Warriors. And joining me, I have Zam and Gaz. How we doing, fellas?
I'm doing alright.
Good.
Fine, thank you. Fine, thank you.
Lovely, lovely. Right. Well, this was a very interesting episode. And before I go into my thoughts on it, Zam, what were your thoughts on the episode?
This is filler done right, in my opinion. When you do a filler episode, what you're trying to do the most of all is do character development, broaden the person we are watching. Give them extra dimensions, and we got that from Ahsoka in this episode as well. The overwhelming theory on who Anakin is will be going on for decades after this. Was he a Force ghost? Was he a projection of Ahsoka's imagination? Various other things. Did he come from between from another time and just to teach Ahsoka some shit? I mean, he seemed to have known his future anyway, with certain things that were said between the two of them. But overall, I really like what this episode got going, and it looks like from this moment, from next episode onwards, we're going to be in a different fucking galaxy. We could be a whole fucking certain things could come out of this. Yuuzhan Vong, who knows? Yeah, so yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the future. But yeah, as I said before, filler done right. Excellent episode, in my opinion.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. System.
Gaz, hello, Mr. System.
I thought there was some good stuff in there. Like I did like the fact that we got like really good dialogue and kind of like the light and the dark, and like how she can't really run this sort of gambit of being the neutral Jedi anymore. That she has to pick a side. I like that.
Hello down.
I do like the fact that like both sides were shown to her of which side she wants to go down. I did like that, but the worst parts of this where I was like, I might as well be watching an episode of Flaming the Clone Wars or something like that. But literally, like when they go into the past and she has the two things and she's in the middle of the floor. I was like, I was literally watching an episode of the Clone Wars, and then it faced off with the Flaming Space Whales, which we'll get to in a minute. So yeah.
Yeah. So I liked the episode. I did like the episode. However, it was a filler episode, and I think when you don't have that many episodes to go, and the fact that Ahsoka's been thoroughly explored in other mediums, I just felt that it was pointless to the overall series. That being said, I'm glad we did it because we got to explore some of the more kind of, like, I always love it when they delve into the lore of the Force and look into kind of these different kind of levels rather than just the main reality. So you've got like the what's that thing called where she's in? I keep forgetting what it's called. The time something or other, or
Oh, the world between worlds.
that's the one. Thank you. The world between worlds and all this kind of stuff. Was it a genuine world between worlds? Was it just, a vision because she's like just dreaming? Was it just dreaming and all this kind of stuff? And but my biggest criticism with this episode is the fucking padded the shit out of this. Like, it took forever to do the most basic thing. Like, once we get the Anakin and Ahsoka stuff out the way, there was still another 15 minutes left of the episode. And just to get to the point of the end, they padded it out and they slowed everything down. I thought, oh, there's still like 20 minutes left on the counter. That means we're going to switch to Sabine and we're going to see like the new universe and a new galaxy and all this kind of stuff. But no, we're still there and we've just padded the hell out of. So the first half of the episode, I really liked it. The second half of the episode just wasn't, just really just irritated me. No, cat, no, go on. I gave you plenty of attention. I bought you new toys today. So none of that. So I liked the episode, especially like all the Anakin stuff. But the second half, not so much. So with that being said, I'm not going to do a play-by-play.
Comments.
Yes, don't worry. I was okay. Yeah, do you want to highlight them and I'll read them from there?
Okay, well, Mr. System, we are talking Star Trek Star Wars at the moment, but I'm glad you caught up with some of the Star Trek stuff. But you still have to catch up on the Star Wars content. Some good stuff on this. This is probably, I would say that when it comes to the more mainstream Star Wars stuff, I mean, Andor aside, because that was very different. But when it comes to more mainstream content, I would say Ahsoka has probably been some of the best stuff. Anakin might be part of the Mortis God, maybe the son. Yeah, I heard about that. You guys know about the Mortis God?
No, can you guys elaborate on that, please?
Okay, in the Clone Wars, they came across in the world between worlds, the father, the son, and the daughter. Now, the father is this force being that's supposed to be both the light and the dark side. The son is supposed to be the dark side, and the daughter is supposed to be the light side. I can't remember everything regarding that, but I think the father, who is supposed to represent both, ends up dying, and people are suggesting that maybe Anakin, who has been both light and dark, will take his
father.
place. Yeah,
Oh,
becomes the new father. I was happy to see live action Clone Wars, young Ahsoka, white Ahsoka. Yeah. I mean, it definitely was. You can see Dave Filoni was all over this son of a bitch. Dave Filoni directed this one. I wish it was a little. Oh, we got an hour. I mean, you can't really complain too much. You know what I mean? Got an hour out of this, but you know we can't
but it
ram
was
everything
heavily
in this.
padded, though, dude. It was.
I do
heavily
believe
padded.
I do believe though, Ginge, that the next episode is going to be focused on the bad guys. I think we're going to start off straight away. I think we're going to. I mean, don't take my word for it, obviously, but I don't know. But I think we're going to start off with Thrawn next episode. You know, I can see that happening. Him seeing Elspeth and Balin coming to get him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the next episode is the must-see one for everyone because you know we're entering the new galaxy, and this is going to be like Dave Filoni's kind of vision and things like that. So just brief thing in the episode. So obviously Ahsoka is still in the world between worlds, and Anakin talks to her about what path she wants to go down. Like Gaz says, you can't remain neutral. You have to pick a side. And then they start having visions, which was a lovely kind of live action re-showing of certain scenes from Clone Wars. The Siege of Mandalore, I particularly liked, but it would have been interesting. But I don't think Sabine was there, but maybe like to see her parents in that. And a little cameo from Darth Maul, given as Filoni loves the fan service, but it was what it was, and it was visually stunning to see. And I want to say one thing before we talk about these particular scenes is one thing I really did like about this episode. It was a kind of redemption for Hayden Christensen, who I felt as just okay. Look, the criticisms levied at him was his acting abilities, but that wasn't really him. That's fucking George Lucas and how he directs.
Yeah, you got to blame the director for that.
It's the director, because we saw I watched Glass that had Aiden in it, and he was fantastic in that. Like he was so good, and so I just felt this was a lovely redemption, a better redemption than Kenobi was, even though Darth Vader was great in the Kenobi series. But in this was a wonderful redemption for Anakin. And again, just look how gorgeous his choreography is with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
And, and I've met Hayden Christensen in person. And back then, this was episode 2. He was such a sweet kid. I say kid, we were roughly the same age. And so it's just nice to see his kind of redemption, and I want to see more of him. I don't want this to kind of end. I know I always say we want to move forward, but I feel that the actors that got the volume of abuse that they got deserve their redemption and to be shown for actually a lot better than what George Lucas was the injustice here. It wasn't Hayden Christensen. And just seeing the way he handles that lightsaber and just seeing his acting in this, this is why I gave this episode a huge pass, because I just loved all of that. I loved seeing Hayden back. Oh, your thoughts, guys. Gaz, I'll come to you because I know, Zam, you quickly chimed in, and I'll come back to you. Gaz, your thoughts on Hayden Christensen and all that?
I thought he was the strongest part of this episode because all the emotions he goes through the arc, he seems very not flat. Flat's the wrong word, but very kind of
slow
like
down. He was.
He was the the way that he was like talking to us, like, do you want to die or do you want to live, and all that sort of stuff, and the way that he was kind of authoritative, he was kind of like almost fatherly towards her, and I thought it was a great performance, and I agree with you. I think that Hayden gets a lot of hate for being wooden and all this sort of stuff, but it's like, well, look at the script he got given. I mean, nobody can say the line, "I hate sand," legitimately.
Everyone was wooden in George Lucas's stuff. Like even Natalie Portman, and that fucking woman is a phenomenal actress.
Yes, he watched Black Swan.
Yeah,
Black Swan.
just stick her in anything, and she's usually just awesome.
Yeah, but I thought this was great. Like, I love the bit where they come back from the Clone Wars, and you kind of see him kind of like morph into Darth Vader and then morph out. I thought that was very well done. I mean, because
the visuals are just gorgeous on that. Yeah.
I mean, because that was, as I said, like I was in awe of this. Oh, here we go. But part of me thinks that I don't think it is the son, whoever who was before they said it was. I think it was Anakin, because you seem to have this connection with Ahsoka, that he told her exactly what she needed. I think that's what Anakin did in Clone Wars, from what I saw in the film. That was their relationship.
Yeah, I mean, their relationship kind of breaks down when she kind of falls out. She just doesn't like the way the Jedi Order was going, and she kind of fell out with them. And then obviously that's why you don't see a lot of it, and she only finds out later what happened to Anakin and all this kind of stuff. So to kind of bring that kind of back to kind of close that chapter, I thought was just it was wonderful to see. Zam.
You mentioned about George Lucas being the issue, and he was. Even though he brought different dimensions to Star Wars in the prequels, he couldn't get a performance out of people like Samuel L. Jackson, for fuck's sake, who's arguably one of the greatest actors of all time, and he was wooden as fuck.
Exactly,
wooden as fuck. Samuel L. Jackson. Who would have thought? I know he's playing a Jedi. Don't get me wrong, I know that, but it's still, I mean, he was lucky that he had people like a couple of British actors who want to elaborate their characters in Ewan McGregor and Ian McDiarmid, so he will never have to worry about those two guys giving wooden performances. Even then, at the time, sometimes Ian McDiarmid was a little bit wooden in the earlier, especially in the first one. But he was still maybe establishing his character to a degree. But seeing Hayden Christensen performing Anakin and his lightsaber choreography, superb. Like, it really, those are the member berries I needed. Like, this is nostalgia done right. In a way that matters. It was so well done, and seeing him in live, as a live action version of his Clone Wars self was fantastic. I really liked it. The young girl who played Ahsoka, she played young Gamora in Infinity.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I just saw that now with the lowdown. And
I think Lucas wanted Tupac to play Mace. He'd been dead for 4 years without playing
3.
Yeah. He'd only been dead for 4 years
because they started.
Yeah, we're still in 97.
99.
He died in 96.
No, but he released.
And the film started production in 97, so he was dead for a year. So it's feasible. These things take time. But hey, listen, don't knock Tupac was a fucking good actor.
Hold on. No, there's a discrepancy there, because way back in the day, there was a show called TFI Friday with Chris Evans.
Oh, yeah.
And Chris Evans interviewed Samuel L. Jackson. And I remember this because I fucking watched this episode, and they bring it back up. And they asked, Chris Evans asked Samuel L. Jackson, is there anything you want to be in that you're not in yet? And he goes, yeah, I would like to play a Jedi in Star Wars. And then George Lucas heard about this and said, yeah, fuck yeah. You know what I mean? If Samuel L. Jackson wants to be in Star Wars, who am I to say no? And Samuel L.
Jackson, the Tupac thing probably wasn't true then.
So at that particular time, Samuel L. Jackson's stock was just rising and rising and rising. But this is like 4 or 5 years after Pulp Fiction, which
Now it's only a couple of years. Yeah,
we put him on the map. So like people, they wanted him in everything during that particular time. So that's how I heard it went down. Yeah, because he said that he wanted to be in Star Wars, and he can't really say no to him.
But
let me just quickly, but finishing what I'm saying, like just seeing Hayden Christensen perform as Anakin with lightsaber, like you think, wow, I remember seeing him so elegant, as a duelist, it's just I loved it. It was great seeing him. He's a natural.
He's such a natural. He's such a natural.
Yeah.
And when you see, like, obviously, when you binge, I didn't see any of that when I watched them because I got to see them do parts of episode 2. It was just the bits where they're in Coruscant on the ships chasing the changeling, and then there was another bit where they're flying through the desert and Padme falls out of the thing. That's all we kind of got to see. But even then, you don't see much. You just literally see like a little bit of this, and it was like action and then cut. So we didn't know what the fuck it was going on because everything was kept very contained and all this.
We saw him in episode 2. We saw him in the droid machine creator thing, which was creating all those droids. And he's like swinging.
Yeah. But I didn't see any of that when they were at Ealing Studios because that's where they filmed it.
Oh, sorry. I get you.
Yeah. That's what I saw when because of what we were studying, we was doing like digital arts and all this kind of stuff. We managed to blag a couple of day passes just for like a day just to see some bits and bobs. But there was none of the lightsaber stuff. But if you watch the making of and you see him and Ewan McGregor and Darth Maul, forget the name of the actor,
Ray Parks,
and they're kind of they're auditioning, they're practicing and all this kind of stuff. Fucking just amazing. But Hayden is just such a natural, and he hasn't missed a beat.
He's got a very uniqueness about him that I think that's him. That is purely him,
Yeah,
because he's actually a very tall guy. I mean, you may not think it, but he's
very tall, but he's very just talented. His choreography, like like him and Ewan McGregor's choreography was spectacular with a lightsaber, and I'm just happy to see Hayden come back, even if he plays a completely different role in a different time period, just to see his choreography with a lightsaber.
But it shows you the direction, because I never really got to appreciate his choreography when he fought Obi-Wan in Obi-Wan, when he did that flashback to him when he was still a Padawan, 40-year-old Padawan, and his choreography was never really appreciated then. But seeing it in Ahsoka, you can really appreciate his fighting style a lot more.
Yeah, with Obi-Wan, they just didn't do a lot of things right. They did the final battle between Darth and Obi. That was pretty good in terms of the choreography. But yeah, you don't get to appreciate how bloody good it is. Like, again, the fact that we're talking about it as the standout, one of the standout bits was the way he handles the lightsaber. Just shows you just how good he bloody is.
Well, and Anakin and Darth Vader are two different fighters, because of the mobility issues that Darth Vader has. He has to fight differently to how Anakin was, who was a lot more elegant, more Errol Flynn-like. I've got a comment here from the Lowdown show. Rick Griffin, engineer that worked for Tupac's label, Death Row Records, as reported by Rolling Stone, said that Shakur was supposed to read for the character of Mace Windu to George Lucas. Yeah, I mean, maybe that was the case, but if he did die, then he probably gave that role to so he did. Yeah, he's not fucking Machiavelli. He is dead. He probably gave that role then to Samuel L. Jackson, who said he was interested in being in a Star Wars movie. So, yeah.
So every time you see a Star Wars movie, I'm thinking of Toy Story. So and I'm trying not to laugh. As I said, I thought the War Between Worlds thing was just, as I said, genius. It was just, I really was not a fan. I don't know what you two thought of the flaming CGI flaming. Well, not CGI to me. fight sequence with in like in the Clone Wars, because he was like, I might as well be watching the Clone Wars.
I like seeing live action Clone Wars. Sorry, Jin. I like seeing live action Clone Wars, but I like what they did with it. They didn't make this into some sort of parallel universe time portal. It was more of like a self-contained thing for Ahsoka, and it was really hard to tell what was going on, which also made the mystery of it much more interesting. But there was no exposition to explain what the fuck was going on. You know, they never said, "Oh, you're in the world between worlds." We kind of assumed that. Was she dead? Was she alive? Well, we don't fucking know. Was this Anakin Force ghost or not? You know, we have no fucking idea. You know, and I love the mystery of all of that. And it wasn't explained even after it was resolved. You know, it was fascinating.
Yeah. I think that's better in terms of storytelling. Stop treating the audience like idiots. You know, I know, like, one of the main criticisms I keep saying is, oh, you have to know Clone Wars, you have to know Rebels and all that. Right, but one of the beauties of that is, and okay, you know, I'm a big criticizer of Filoni and his fan service, but what I will say is this should, if the episode has a lasting effect on people, it'll mean they will go back and watch Clone Wars, or at least read up and see what happens and all this, and watch videos to kind of get to know the lore between Clone Wars and you know, Rebels and all this kind of stuff. What I will say though, if you do go back, you know, at least watch the final season of Clone Wars, because that is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Like the action, the just the way the story plays out, I absolutely love it. But we're not here to talk about
it. Takes a while to get there though. Like it is like a regular Clone Wars series until like the last few episodes.
The last few episodes
ties up
the payoff is just amazing. Yeah. What I want to say about, like, again, the kind of what I liked about the Clone Wars stuff is the scenes is, you know, with the clone troopers, you know, you could tell they weren't CGI. There were people in actual uniforms, the way they were moving and all this. And I think just the visuals on that alone.
We got Tamara Morrison back just for a quick voice scene.
Just a quick voice scene. They didn't use his face, so you could see, like, when the clone trooper was injured, they had his face covered, and all this kind of stuff. But that being said, we can move on to the rest of the episode, which basically, that, you know,
Captain, they be whales here. Captain, they be whales.
Oh, I did that.
So they're searching for Ahsoka, and they're trying to kind of buy time, because obviously the New Republic are like on their ass being insufficient, but then nobody's really telling them what's actually going on, and nobody's believing them. And you can see the kind of frustrations and the seeds of how the First Order comes to be, because there's a lot of like ass tittying about. But they find Ahsoka, and then they kind of harken back to Rebels, where with the whales, which they're going to use them to, I don't know how exactly they're going to use the whales. They get into the whales, and the whales could do hyper speed and all this kind of stuff. But how do they know where they're going?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Ahsoka went with faith, though, didn't she? She had faith because she's. You can see that she went through a transition after coming out of the water. Yeah. Like, you know, she's become, you know, Ahsoka the White. You know, comparing her to Gandalf the White, and she's got faith in hoping that the whales will take them where they need to go.
If I had to guess that, if I was to take a guess, they'll take a punt, and maybe the whales will go to where Ezra took Thrawn in Rebels, because that's what he used. He used the whales to just get him the fuck.
That'll still be the same galaxy where we're from. Maybe not the same exact spot, but the same.
That's
galaxy
what I mean.
For sure.
That's what I mean. So they're just going to take a punt and go there, and then just somehow hope to find them. So that was basically that's the best way to describe the second half of the episode. It was heavily padded out. Your guys' thoughts on that? Gaz, I'll go to you. You were eager to talk about that.
Okay. Now, I've been a fan of Star Wars for a good while, right? I cannot remember where these bloody whales come from.
Rebels.
Right? I've never
Rebels.
watched Rebels.
Yeah.
I don't watch Rebels. But again, it reminded me of the latest Avatar film. That is not a good place I wanted to be again. It's like the space whales again. I was like, Are they going to be able to talk to with blue people? And does their mind make you see backwards in time? By the way, that is literally a plot point from Avatar. Anyway, but no, do you know what? As much as I've been a bit of a snarky asshole, no, I did enjoy this because, like, you know, it was nice that like these like massive whales. You know, if I'm gonna have to have space whales, I'd rather have this than bloody Avatar, to be honest with you. And I do like the fact, but I do agree with you guys. Like, how do they have like sonar or something like that they know where they're going, or like, you know, some sort of like space?
It's fiction, mate. Don't think about it.
Yeah,
like
don't
that.
think too much into it. But I'm guessing that, you know, again, if you watch Rebels, where Ezra kind of uses the whales to warp Thingy's fleet out of there, Thrawn and all that, another galaxy. So I'm guessing that if they'll take a punt and go to that galaxy, because it's very difficult that they might not, you know, it's a kind of a sure thing that they'll still be there or around there, maybe. And yes, low down here says Kanan Jarrus name got name dropped. Well,
and
I
his
mean,
photograph, by the way. And
his
Kanan
son.
Jarrus was voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr. And if you look carefully, there is a picture of Freddie Prinze Jr. Not obviously clear, but that's a picture of
I
him
missed
supposed
that.
to be Kanan Jarrus. Yeah,
I'll
it's a
watch
blinking
Screen
and you
Crush
miss it
later,
type
and it
thing.
will.
Yeah,
Nice
it's all
one.
there.
Nice one.
So
Nice one.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But
So
what I'm thinking here, Ginge,
yeah,
that
man.
this could be the hard reset that Star Wars are looking for. You know, go to a different galaxy and do all your Star Wars shit there, so that way they don't have to retcon any of the fucking Rey and Finn bullshit, you know, and all of that. If they could do a whole bunch of Star Wars in a new galaxy, you know, and they could, it basically opens up anything they want, you know, in the future after that, you know.
Look, I'm all for it because you know we said before the franchise is it's in a mess. It's still in a mess now. You know, Ahsoka has been stable. Like, thank God it hasn't been a car crash TV. You know what I mean? Like, I've enjoyed it for what it is. It's not great. It's not bad. It's good. You know, good to okay. And it needed that. I think Star Wars needed Ahsoka. Hey Vance, Vance, if you want
Yeah,
to give us your thoughts on the episode, go right
we
ahead.
started a bit early today, Vaughn, because we got shit to do.
Yeah.
He says Anakin to Vader to Anakin shot during Clone Wars Fight Black was cinema perfection.
Couldn't agree more.
It was.
It was the visuals. Like, sorry, guys, just quick. I want to say that, you know, the episode with the sandworm in Mandalorian,
Episode 2,
Yes.
episode 2
episode
of
1.
season. Sorry, yes,
One.
episode 1 of season 2. And
Yeah.
we said that visually, that's one of the most beautiful Star Wars episodes ever. And
Yeah.
this
That was a great
episode of
episode.
Huh?
It was great. It was one of the best Mandalorian episodes. Probably
Yeah,
the
no,
best.
it was a great episode and just visually blew my nuts away. And I'd put this episode near there. Not as good in terms of the visuals, but right near there as well. Just like, it was amazing. So
The reset would be good, but David don't need to be in control, and Kathy out of the way. Well, everyone agrees that.
I don't. Yeah, but I okay. Look, given what Filoni's done with Ahsoka, I think he can get a pass with directing other Star Wars stuff. I don't want Jon Favreau there, and Kathleen definitely needs to go.
Well, look, we can't keep having too many cooks in this, and at the same time, if you had a choice between John and Kathy, you take John every fucking day of the week.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? 10 out of 10. You know, so, and look, they're not going to get everything right all the time. There's going to be bumps on the road, and hopefully there'll be successes to them as well. But ideally, I would rather have somebody who's a Star Wars fan than somebody who isn't. Ahsoka was baptized reborn when the left for world. I saw that on the animated the star to Ahsoka, the white we saw foreshadowed in Rebels. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He has taken influence from Lord of the Rings. They even mentioned that even George Lucas did. Apparently, like Return of the Jedi was a reference to Return of the King. You know, so there's a whole bunch of things. Yeah. So
Yeah, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the episode. I think we can give our final ratings here, and then
By the way, did
yeah.
you find it funny that in order for these whales to warp, they have to open up their fucking giant tentacle asshole? Yeah,
Of course,
and then
it's just like
shoot out,
they
shoot out a
just like you
fucking
fart
like
to
a
move
warp fart.
forward. Yeah.
Yeah, like a supersonic fart or a supersonic. You know what I mean? Which
Yeah.
would be nice if they fucking sprayed the fucking the New
if
Republic
you're
fucking forces. Oh my
if you
god, that would have been hilarious.
if your car run of fart power, you wouldn't have to pay that much for petrol.
Oh,
Right.
I need to make a correction. By the way, one of the X-wing pilots I said was Alan Tudyk. It wasn't. He's actually one of Pedro Pascal's body double, one of the body doubles for him in The Mandalorian, and so we saw him as an X-wing pilot in this
right.
in the last couple of episodes.
That's good.
So
He was
yeah,
one of the ones that died. Well, that's good. That's
no, he
not
didn't
it.
die. He didn't die.
I was not the one that died. It was the other guy. So they had the woman and then the other guy that was looking at the whales. Was that his body double?
That's the body double. Yeah, that was the body double.
Okay.
Yeah, the woman and the guy who helped Ahsoka out the water. The guy was the body double. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
cool.
Yeah. So
right. Okay then, Zam. What would you give this episode?
I'm stuck between. Look, it's not a 10. I'll say that, but I am stuck between 8 and 9, and both those marks are pretty good. I would say. I fuck me, man. This is hard. I don't like doing halves. I really don't.
Me too, Vance. Do a half. Who cares? Sometimes you can do
fine.
a half.
All right, 8.5 out of 10. It was a really good. Like I said, it's filler without a doubt. But this is how I like my fillers to be done, like this. You know, expand the character and make sure that this character now is ready as a new person to be involved in what we get next. And I can't wait to see that.
Okay, Gaz.
Do you know what? Considering that we've been kind of like there on this show, I thought this was one of the strongest episodes of it. So with that, I'm going to give it a very strong 9.
Okay. I am gonna go with I'm gonna go with 8. The pacing kind of drops this off. If the pacing was better after all the Anakin stuff, then this episode would have got a 9 for sure. But that being said, I'll give it an 8. Absolute redemption for Hayden Christensen. It was wonderful to see just the injustice served by George Lucas and his garbage prequels to that actor was just a shame. So I'm kind of hoping we, in one way or another, we get more Hayden Christensen because he was fantastic in this. He carried the episode. He was great. Like, the actress that played young Ahsoka, fucking just, you just sitting and you're going, well, if they did a live action Clone Wars, I'd be fucking into that.
Actually, the young actors
performance
haven't been too bad. Like you got Jason, who's been alright. He hasn't been too annoying. The young Ahsoka was great. Like I said, she was young Gamora in Infinity War, and apparently she's also played Ugly Betty's daughter in Barbie. But Ugly Betty was in Barbie.
Yeah. I know
she's in Barbie. And the girl who played their daughter.
She must have played the younger version of her daughter because her daughter's a bit more grown up.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, she's a great actress. So, again, see her.
I think the world's her oyster, man. You know what I mean?
World is her oyster. She's young enough to get God knows how many roles within the Disney machine. And then some, Hopefully she blossoms to be like another.
It should be like the new Millie Bobby, like another version of Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah, Millie Bobby Brown, Jenny Ortega, those kind of stuff. Yeah. Like, but she was great. Like, she fucking, Considering Star Wars and the fandom and the kind of weight that comes with that, she handled young Ahsoka brilliantly, and I think that definitely needs to be stated in that. So yeah, overall good episodes, especially like all the Anakin stuff, fantastic. And that being said, we're going to bring this video to an end. I want to thank my co-host for joining me. Cannot wait for next week. I literally cannot wait for next week's episode. If we get to see a new galaxy, I'm all in. I've put that comment up already. Thank you to everyone in the comments that joined us. Yeah, I've put that up as well. And take you to my co-host. And on that note, join us tomorrow for Star Trek. Well, not us, but there will be Star Trek.
Yeah, I will
stuff
check
tomorrow.
it out. Sorry, I had some things going on in my life, Daniel, but I'll definitely check it out. It's but yeah, for sure. And yeah, you see us tomorrow for Star Trek.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll catch you later.